Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the What the Football channel. My name is Scrubber, and today's show is the pre-draft show. We're going to be looking at, what we have right now, what we feel are our needs coming up, and what we can get out of the draft today. I'm really looking forward to it. So far, our team looks pretty good. We did well in the free agency, filled some holes, got some extra people that are just maybe testing out, but we do have some holes to fill with the draft, depending on what's up for us when it's our turn to pick. And of course, BH is here today, and he's going to help us on our journey and figure all this stuff out because it's crazy. Welcome, BH.
Hey, man. Good to be here, man. Really excited. Just like you said, main things, did a decent job in free agency, and including getting Daron Payne signed. That's important. And yeah, not a bunch of holes. I think Coach said it. He said something like, we want to just get our team balanced in free agency so we can just get the best players out there. Mm-hmm. And I kind of see where they're at, which makes it kind of hard. You can narrow down who you think they're going to get or where they're going to go. But, like last year, they might throw us some curveballs. So, but anyway, I think it'll be exciting. So, I love this time of year. Honestly, it's my favorite time of the year is the draft. I mean, for many years now, I just watch it and love it. Love prepping for it. I never get anybody right, but it's still, I never get anyone right. It's still a lot of fun. I always do a main 30, well, this year's 31 team draft because Miami had their first round pick taken away. But I do my top 32 all the time to see if I can, and I'll get like 26, 27 right. And that's about it. And that's all the major guys do too. Everyone misses anywhere from 4 to 8 players in that first round. So just goes to show you, even the national guys can't get everybody right. So,
Yep.
Well, all we're concerned about is the Washington Commanders. So what do you want to do? You want to just look at the depth chart and kind of just go that route?
See let's look at need? Some of our needs and, what they could possibly do. So just looking at the depth chart, just in general, our receiver core looks pretty good. They want to pick somebody up late in the 6th, 7th round. Go ahead. Our D line looks really good. Now, if you want to bring in an end at some point in time, we got a great defensive line. Now our ends are coming up. I think most of them got like 1 year left, or this year left, or maybe one more year. So. Some of them might walk depending on how good we do this year. Some of them might want to stay. So you may want to look at a defensive end. I think our special teams looks good. Joey Sly, you can always pick up somebody later on. Why isn't there some stud coming out of some automatic robot that just comes out of college that can just nail 45ers all day long, no matter what's coming at them? So, we'll stick with Joey Sly, I guess. We got Cheeseman and we got Trustway. Our special teams is fine. I think our running backs are good. So some of the holes that we have that I would like to see filled, it's possible we could use a cornerback. Our linebacker area is pretty weak. If you've got, Cody Barton's brand new, and then you got like David Mayo and Khaleke Hudson that are your backups, and Jamin Davis. Yeah, it'd be nice to pull some. I don't know if we got a linebacker lined up in the draft. Maybe somebody coming down the line. Something in the linebacker area. Maybe our safeties look pretty good. We got Cam Curl, Derek, with Percy Butler behind Derek, Jeremy Reese behind Cam. That all looks good to me. So cornerback.
Definitely corner.
Yeah,
and linebacker. Corner. I think is a big one because it's like, as it stands, on paper, if you look at it, it's pretty good. We got some good guys who do a pretty decent job. But if you look at the age, Danny's 31, Kendall's 30. Besides I think they did give Danny a 2-year contract, but the way that thing's structured, it's a 1-year deal. They could walk away from that next year won't cost much at all. And so Kendall's at the end of his.
Yeah,
We
and he could either be great or he could shit the bed. So that's
or he'll shit the
yeah,
bed and then do better later, which is
yeah.
his motive, which kind of sucks. A little tired of that. Benjamin St-Juste we like, but he's a little inconsistent, and he has had some injury issues too, which contributed to his. So to me, when you look at that, everyone behind them, from Christian Holmes, Rashad Wild Goose.
Wild Goose did good for a minute there last year, I thought.
He
got
did.
burned a couple times, but he's a rook or something, right?
Yeah, very young. That's
year.
another thing. No, I think he was a rook. So having him out there, I think who else was the other young guy? Oh yeah, Tariq Castro Fields was a rookie. Now you can't depend on those guys. We got a lot of names of young people, but hey, one of those guys could blow up. It's their second year. Everyone, I mean, gosh, we saw Derek Forrest. No one thought Derek Forrest was going to play the way he did in his second year, right?
Yeah,
he did good. And
great.
I think the other big good thing, though, is getting. Cam Dantzler, picking up Cameron Dantzler from Minnesota. They put him on waivers. Kind of surprised. Our team, got to give him credit, after last year getting Ridgeway off of waivers, and then now getting Cameron Dantzler. He's good. He's a kind of a two-way corner. He's pretty decent man, better in zone, but he's not just a one-way guy. And things flamed out there. The new coach, it's coming in as a really hardcore man kind of guy, blitz heavy guy. He would never fit that defense anyway. So I say props to them, but really we need to infuse this thing. I personally think we need two corners.
Oh,
I really do.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I don't trust Kendall.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
I don't trust Kendall at all.
I don't either.
So
no, I don't. He plays lights out in the second half of the season, but in the beginning he's just so inconsistent.
Yeah.
So that's for sure corners in there. And like you said, the D line's good, except like we do have with Montez and Chase, they have not done the 5th-year option. If they don't do the 5th-year option on Chase, it means both of them could be in line for walking after next year. But they saw Duran play out to his last year and got signed to a great contract. So there's a precedent for them guys to play really good, show the team, and stay with the team. So it never became nothing personal with Duran and the team. Team said, "Hey, play out your contract," and they rewarded him. So, but at the same time, it's kind of a luxury. You might want to grab somebody.
Yeah.
So
definitely. All right.
So you mentioned another thing you mentioned, was linebackers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem for linebackers in this draft, and probably in most drafts, it's really hard. There's not a lot of, you could spend the first round pick and get a really good linebacker, but with all the offensive linemen, corners, and great players out there, it's a reach. It's a need pick that ends up hurting your team. You just got to get the best players. And even the guys that are out there in the first and second, I don't know that they can come in and take over the talent that we have even now. But we do need to look at getting but there are second, third, fourth, and fifth round guys that we can bring in that can back these guys up and maybe rise to a level of being a starter. But the bench is not good. I mean, Nathan Gary, David Mayo, we've got to improve. We got to get more athleticism. We got to get younger. So there's got to be a linebacker, I hope, somewhere in this draft.
Yeah, let's hope so. And we'll cover that when we start doing our draft stuff. So we'll take a look at who's out there. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line, if there's a great guy up front, I say take him. Norwell does good. Cosme, we got Andrew Wiley came up looking good. They all look good as the front line, but our center, Chase Roulier, you know what? He's injury prone. He's getting older. Larson, injury prone, getting older. Nick Gates, okay. So I don't know if there's a center out there in the draft or if that's something that we'd want to do. Cosme looks good with Chris Paul behind him. Wiley with, Cornelius Lucas behind him. So,
Yeah.
Sadiq Charles behind Norwell, and Leno, and we got some people we picked up behind him. So it'd be nice to pick up something on the front line. And then, of course, earlier we talked about tight end. So if there was something like really, really good out there that Bieniemy could work with, because he's a tight end type of guy. He had Kelsey, for the
Yeah.
Chiefs, and so
Sure.
he's slaying it. Now our guys look good. So if Logan Thomas could step up and be that guy, it would be nice. But we do have Bates. We got Armani Rogers showed, shades of greatness. Cole Turner was hurt for a long time. Curtis Hodges was hurt for a bit. So
Yeah.
But
Hurt
those are
right
the
away.
areas I
He
see.
got injured like boom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
I
would say,
definitely tight end.
go ahead.
I would say tight end. Really, if they want to move on from Logan Thomas, they could go a lot earlier than we think. And this is a great tight end draft. A lot of good tight ends
Nice.
in first, second, and third round. Yeah, so I kind of depends. If they want to if there's someone really good, they want to snag in the first round. The guy they talk about, Michael Mayer or someone like that. Don't be surprised if it happens. But overall, yeah, I mean, this is a really good tight end draft, and I like all these guys, but I would hate to not do anything in the draft and then at the end of the year go, well, we got some nice tight ends, but we just got 5 guys. That's it. We just got 5 okay guys. Really, you're always trying to get someone dynamic and really explosive at every position if you could possibly can. And if you ignore a position like tight end in this draft that's loaded with them, it could bite you.
Yeah. Yeah. I just,
Although I
it'd be
do love
nice
all
if
those
one of them
guys.
guys it'd be nice if one of them guys could step up. I mean, every one of them guys that we have could be the guy. I mean, it's just a breakout year. I mean, Rogers is young, Turner's young, Hodges is young. They haven't been going at it that long. They were
they're all just,
weren't they?
Second year,
right?
year guys. Yeah, John Bates, second year guy. Armani Rogers, to me, just flashed so much potential. He's a guy that could just step up, and because he's big enough to be a inline blocking, pretty decent. But he looked good running routes. He looked good. He got open. He didn't look scared at all. I mean, he was surprisingly good. Yeah, so I really do, like you said, I hope one of those guys steps up.
Yeah. And so really, if you had like come your pick, some of them super stud, for some reason, tight ends were still on the board, then, you could take them, but it would depend on, we'll start getting into this, I guess now, is that, depends on, is there some offensive line guys still up there? I mean, it's a tough pick. Or the other wild card is, do they trade up or trade down? Do you see what I'm saying? Or that's a wild card there too. So
yeah, and that influences the draft so much. I've kind of done these different mocks and different things, and a lot of players I really like. But the way it works is if they go corner in the first, they're almost for sure going to be trying to get some kind of an offensive lineman in the second. I'd be shocked if they didn't. Or vice versa. To get an offensive lineman, they're probably going to get the best available corner. But then, like you say, you throw in tight ends in there. And I think the big thing, like you said, is trading down like we did last year, which turned out to be incredibly good. I mean, we turned out to turn those picks into Jahan Dotson, Sam Howell, and we got a third player out of that. It might have been Cole Turner in the 5th. Was that Cole Turner? But something like that. I mean, we turned it like into 3 players. It was pretty amazing, really. So, so that's something. Well, I think the offensive line, the age and the injuries, you're talking about Chase Roulier injured, Charles Leno, 31, 32 years old. Now, Andrew Wiley's going to he's not anything special, but they brought him in. I think he'll be good because obviously Bieniemy wouldn't have recommended him to the team if he wasn't a great scheme fit. So, he may have some, he may have some areas that he's not great at, but he is built for the scheme, which makes him a better tackle overall. And so I think he's fine. He'll be good. He can move around. But when you're going into the future, I have no faith in any of the backups being here. Mm-hmm. None of them. I mean, none. It's so thin. I mean, read them off. Sadiq Charles, Noah Laufenberg, Nick Gates, Chris Paul, Keaton Sutherland, Cornelius Lucas, Drew Himmelman. Those guys could all be gone by halfway through the season for all we know.
Yeah.
So remember I said cornerback, we need 2 corners? Well, for sure in this draft, we need 2 linemen. Now, if it's an offensive tackle and a guard, if it's a center and a guard, I don't care. Whatever it is, because I don't want them reaching. Don't get a tackle that, this guy might take a couple years to develop, or something like that, man. If we can't get a good offensive tackle, don't reach for him. Get a good, solid guard that can take Norwell's place and get a stud center. I can live with that, and we'll fix the tackle thing later. We've got enough tackles on here because when you think about it, I mean, Wiley's a tackle. Cosme can slide over and play tackle. Yeah. Cornelius can play tackle. Charles Leno's. We've got about 4 tackles right there who can move in and take over. But 2 corners and 2 guards.
Yeah. Are you talking about plug and play guys, ready to go guys?
Boy, well,
we got to win this year.
Yeah, hopefully, but maybe not. But that also might also be a function of what we talked about, that this roster, and the national media talk about it all the time. They go, damn, this team is not a bad roster. I mean, I've seen guy after guy after guy look at our team and go, this is not a bad football team. So it's not like a lot of teams, first rounders do come right in and start. Well, that's because the roster is a disaster. Right. You just get them in there and play. So it might be a mix and match. It may be a mix and match between, hey, this guy's the plug and play, and the others are going to be backups and learn. I'm not against that either.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just don't want guys that are long-term, early picks on long-term developing guys. I don't.
Right. No.
I don't want any of that. Going. I want you to get by next year. And a lot of this, what we're talking about, if you think about this, everything we're talking about is sort of like next year. The O-line looks like crap next year. The cornerback situation is crap next year. So let's fix it this year.
Yeah. And our D-line
on paper is
our D-line is not getting any younger too, and they're probably getting tired of it. They want to see something happen. Am I crapping out?
I know. And look, just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little. It got a little choppy for a second.
Yeah, I'm choppy.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the D line is so deep. I think this will be the year that really they can have the 4-man rush with limited blitzing and still dominate teams. Yeah. Chase is back. The defensive tackle rotation is incredibly good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my God, Fedarian's back. We got Ridgeway. Yeah. Those 2 flowing in, and then, hey, throw F.A. Obata in there. Mm-hmm. F.A. likes to come in. If Chase needs a blow on a passing down, I don't mind having F.A. Obata out there. He loves to get after the quarterback. So, he's not Chase Young, but he's pretty good. So I think this is the year where the experiment goes in full force. Yep. The 4-man rush, rotating guys, and we don't have to blitz, and we're still going to crush their line. So that part is that's exciting. That's exciting. So, but yeah, so offensive line, corners, big time.
Yep.
Got to get some guys. So,
well, who do you see coming up with our number 16 pick? You got your BH has his little his mock draft here all set out. I'll flash that up on the screen for y'all, and you can look at it. So,
yeah, we can basically you can put that up there. Let me talk about like the 5 guys I like with the first pick. Let's say we stay at 16, although I think we're going to trade back like last year. I can almost predict it, but I like a cornerback out of Maryland, local guy, Deonte Banks. I love him a lot. Right tackle, Darnell Wright, who everyone says he's a right tackle only. He actually recently, he's a young guy. Some guy said something about him be a right tackle on Twitter, And Darnell went on Twitter and kind of told him he was full of shit, and he shouldn't have done that. But hey, I like it. Maybe the kid's going, hey, I can play left tackle. Get out of here. So anyway, I like Darnell Wright a lot. Tight end, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame might be the best complete tight end in this draft. There's some real good blocking tight ends. There's a lot of real good receiving tight ends. But those guys, I don't think that's our style. We need a guy who can block and go out. Michael Mayer, if they take him, I wouldn't be too disappointed. Now, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I wouldn't have thought that. But as I've been going through this process, I don't think that's such a terrible idea. Another guy is Brian Branch from Alabama, because we don't have enough Alabama players on our roster. So
no, we don't. No, we don't.
we need more. He's a safety, but he played their slot quite a bit. He was their slot corner, which is kind of what we did last year with our safety. We did that a lot. We brought him down in and had him play the slot receiver when William Jackson went. Brian Branch is a real smart player. He can play the slot. He can play safety. He's probably one of the smartest guys out there as a rookie who knows what's happening. There's no concept he doesn't understand. There's no offensive scheme he would look at that could confuse him. He might be a guy that we would get if we traded back. We might not get him at 16, but what if we went to 22? He'd be a great value. And then last is Osiris Torrance. Humongous guard, 335 pounds, 6'5". This guy's like a mountain. I wouldn't be against getting Osiris Torrance. But once again, he's kind of like Brian Branch. I'd like to trade to 22 or 23 for value and get him there. So that's the first pick. And then last would be the second pick. So these are the two most important. At pick 47, I really like, if we go corner first, go either Matthew Bergeron is a tackle out of Syracuse. He's a great guy. He needs some time to develop. He needs to build some strength, which let me tell you, I've been studying these tackles and looking at a lot of profiles and breakdowns on these guys. A lot of these guys lack, according to his NFL strength. And it's only something you get when you're a full-time player, when you get in that weight room. These guys are 21 and 22 years old. They're not even, they're men, but they're not full-grown men. Mm-hmm. And so they need a dietitian. They need to learn to eat right. They need to get into that training room. So Matthew Bergeron could be a backup and develop. And I think he'd be a great left tackle and say goodbye to Charles Leno. Then you got another guy, Steve Avila, plug and play left guard in the second round. Dude will come in. He'll be the left guard. No questions. This guy is one of my favorite guys because Steve Avila can play center. And nice. Then he can really play center. I mean, he played center. So he's great. And then now if we go offensive line, a couple guys we could go with our corners are Cam Smith, who I really like. I think he's South Carolina. He's a great young kid. And then another guy is Julius Brents. I like a lot. He's very raw. He could last to the third round. I just want to get his name out there. He's a great young guy, but he needs a little bit of seasoning. But boy, is he an athlete. And then last but not least, that you talked about this. Let's say we get a corner in the first. We could go plug and play center, John Michael Schmitz, Minnesota. He's a monster. Or another guy would be from Wisconsin. I think is Joe Tippmann. If those two guys are drafted in the second, most seriously, Chase Roulier will be a post June 1st cut. Love you, Chase, but you're gone. Nice. And that guy will be, he'll be the number one guy, and the other guys are backups. So we got a couple guys in the second, Avila, John Michael Schmitz, who could plug and play on our line, and that's second round. So that's it for me on the first and second. And let me just speak to what you said, though, because I like what you said about, the trading. I don't see, especially in this draft. By the way, this draft is not one of the most highest rated drafts, kind of a moderate. They rate the whole draft. They look at all the players. And a lot of people say around 85 or 95, at about 85 or 95 players, it really kind of poops out. And not that there's bad players, but it sort of washes out for the next 4 rounds. You can get this guy, you can get this guy. It sort of ends at that point. So if you want premier players, so I don't see, and you would probably agree, Ron's not the kind of guy to trade away next year's first and this year's second to move up and get a guy. I don't think so either. So I do see, here's the thing. If Skoronski, the tackle, offensive tackle, and Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle, are gone, which they probably will be. Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon, Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback from Illinois. Now, if those 4 guys are all gone, well, maybe Darnell Wright. I could see Darnell Wright, offensive tackle. So those 5 guys, now, if they're all gone at 16, it just seems to me that they would see a Seattle, Jacksonville, Chargers, teams at Minnesota, teams at 21, 22, 23, 24, sort of like last year, not a big league, but move up and get at least a 3rd round. I don't know if we got a 5th from New Orleans out of the deal. Now, maybe we get a 5th. I don't really care. Get a 5th, get a 6th, whatever, but get another 3rd rounder. So that's kind of how I see it. Now, if those other guys that and that's going to be the fun of the draft. How does the draft lay out? Do some crazy guys get drafted in that top 15 that no one expected? If that happens, that's great, because that's pushing one of these guys to us. Right. So if one of those 5 studs are there, mostly 4, I say 4 studs for us, are there at 16, and we take one of them. And that's great. For if we get one of those 4 at 16, dude, that's awesome. So that's kind of where it stands. There's really only 4 players at 16 that we even have a chance of getting. And other than that, we just start taking phone calls and see who wants to come down to 16 and give up some stuff. I don't know. Yeah. Do you like the trading down?
I don't mind it as long as it's logical and serves a purpose. So if it means like you give up 16 for number 21, and you know that you're not going to get anything within those next 5, and you can wait till 21, fine. If it's wait until 30 and you might miss out on something in between, you may not want to do that. If you're getting a 3rd round as opposed to a 4th round or some other kind of trade like that. So, I say play it straight. Just take what you can get. And there's also, people talk about just taking best man, no matter who it is, whatever the best looking player is, whether it's a running back or a quarterback of some kind. You just go ahead and take them because they're elite. That's left. But I don't necessarily agree with that. If it was a running back, maybe, or something like that. But we really need offensive line, corners. Be nice. Linebackers, you can wait.
Yeah.
A little bit. So, and then you could also, you can get them later. There's still plenty of people out there that you could scoop up. So
there are. Offensive guard is that way too. There are. I mean, we could get a guy. I'm not saying there are going to be a plug and play like Steve Avila or a center like John Michael Schmitz, but there's guys in the 5th round that are really solid players that are going to be what we talk about, filling the hole next year. They're just going to go in or at least compete. But we can't. We can't have Andrew Norwell and Leno's been great for us, but the clock's ticking there.
Yeah.
So
you got to be looking towards the future as well. So
you really do. So as far as as far as the draft, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to see what I did here. There it is. I'm trying to see if I can see. So the mock draft was, I think I had one with
Deonte Banks at number 1.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Now that's my feeling is, I mean, Deonte Banks is not like earlier I said, hey, there's only 4 or 5 guys I would wait on. I just did this because I didn't want to do a trade draft. That's too confusing. And I'm not saying, I wouldn't hate Deonte Banks at that point, I don't think. But who else do we have there? Deonte Banks.
You got Avila, Isaiah McGuire. I think you talked about him.
Yeah.
Wayne
Oh
Morris
yeah.
at tackle.
Oh yeah.
Dorian Williams at linebacker.
Yeah. So that's the kind of way. And then not so much the players. So if you go Deontay Banks, he's awesome. So you get your corner. Okay, let's say that. So let's look at the positions. What did we get in the first round? We got a corner. So that's a quality corner. What did we get in the second round? A guard. Well, if we get a second round guard, he's pretty much going to be a stud because, people wait till later. Now we get Isaiah McGuire, who's a defensive end in the third. That's about where he's slotted to go. He's 6'6", 280 pounds. He's built just like Montez Sweat. Now, does he have the get off, the strength, and all that? Maybe not. But that's the guy we can come in and just have as a backup and develop if one of those two guys goes. So that works that way. Wanya Morris is a tackle that we can develop. Dorian Williams is a guy that he is not going to be a middle linebacker, but he could push. He's a guy you could bring in and push Jamin Davis for next year. If Jamin does not, because Jamin's got to take a big step this year. He's got to be the man. And if he's not, we've got to be prepared to have someone to fill the spot. And then once again, there's a lot of guys in the fifth round. I put Jalen Jones from Texas A&M as a corner. There's other guys in the fifth round we can get. But that sort of gives us our two corners there. And then from there, we get a quarterback, a guard again, and I put kicker just for fun because he's from Maryland.
Yeah.
I want to get a Maryland guy in there.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's it's a position thing for me. 2 corners, 2 offensive linemen. I think in this draft we have 3, which I don't think anyone will argue with. We got an edge defender, we get a linebacker, and we get a quarterback. And that's one guy quickly I will talk about. I don't know what they're going to have to need a third. They're going to need a third quarterback. We have 2 solid quarterbacks. I don't think I want to bring in a third. Who do we have on?
Frome, Jake Frome.
Yeah, get out of here. Get him out. We know he's not going to do anything. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a developing quarterback. He's sort of he needs work, but he's got skills. He throws really well in a West Coast style offense. He likes quick throws, kind of fits what we do. He's also a good running quarterback, although he's not a run first quarterback. Round 6, you might need to go round 5 for him. He's just a guy to think about. But I do think we got to have someone. We can't go in with Jake Fromm. We got to have someone with some potential, even if the guy's raw as hell.
Right on. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great draft. We're going to try and wrap it up here. I think we're running out of a little bit of a time. So I think it was a great show. I think we covered everything. Great picks by you. I hope we'll get to see what's going on, see how close you came. I'm not very good at that, but I think you did a great job, BH.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll see. I'd like to get 1 or 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
So Thursday night, man, we're going to live stream the pick, everybody.
We're going to go live.